Greetings and welcome to the Basics of Firearms video series. This series is intended to introduce people who may not be familiar with firearms to their safe handling and operation, as well as teach the viewer about firearms generally. Before we get started with any firearms, it's important that we know basic firearm safety, which was the subject of the first video of this series. If you haven't viewed that video, click the link in the description to watch it. This second video will cover the parts of a modern firearm. While firearms vary greatly in configuration, almost every firearm has 5 basic components. These components include the bolt, the chamber, the barrel, the trigger assembly, and some type of grip or stock or both. Most modern firearms also include some type of magazine to hold additional cartridges or rounds, but some do not. An ammunition cartridge, or what many people incorrectly refer to as the bullet, has 4 basic components. These include the casing, the primer, the propellant charge, which is inside the casing, and the projectile itself, which may be a single bullet, a flechette, a slug, multiple bullets, or even several pieces of shot. This is what is actually the bullet. Firearms are usually chambered to use one type of cartridge, although some may be able to use 2 or more very closely related cartridges, such as the .38 Special and the .357 Magnum. Some firearms can be individually chambered in many different types of cartridges, but each individual firearm can only use the one that is assigned to it. Some firearms can be modified appropriately to fire a different type of cartridge. There will be more on that in a later video. The grip is how we hold the firearm. With a handgun, this is almost always in the form of a pistol grip. On a long gun, the grip may be integrated into the stock, as in the Ruger 10/22, or it could be a pistol grip like the pistol has in the case of the AR or AK series. The gun stock, or butt stock, or simply the stock, is the part of the gun that we push up against our shoulder to hold it steady while we aim. This also absorbs some of the recoil when the firearm is discharged. When using a firearm, we load a cartridge into the chamber located here at the back of the barrel. If there were a magazine in this firearm would now be ready to discharge. When the bolt closes, the firing pin, which is located inside the bolt, is able to strike the primer, which ignites the propellant and the charge. Some firearms fire from an open bolt, and some fire from a closed bolt like this. Almost all pistols fire from a closed bolt. We'll cover the differences in bolt configurations in a later video. The firing pin is released when the operator pulls the trigger. This could activate an external hammer in the back, as in the case of the 1911, or it could activate an internal striker mechanism, as in the case of this Smith & Wesson M&P 9. After the firing pin strikes the primer in the cartridge, it ignites the propellant charge, and the expanding gases push the bullet or other projectile down the barrel at high velocity, where it exits out the muzzle. Many modern firearms also have a safety switch, which is usually just referred to as the safety. The safety is intended to prevent the firearm from being discharged unintentionally while it's being handled. Some safeties block the trigger from being pulled, and others prevent the hammer, bolt, or firing pin from actually operating. And some do multiple things to prevent discharge. The M1911A1 has 2 safeties, one on the side and one in the grip. These block the hammer and prevent the trigger from operating. The Smith & Wesson M&P 9 Shield has a similar style of safety that disengages and blocks the internal firing mechanisms. This Ruger 10/22 has a push-button safety inside the trigger housing. The Savage Axis 2 has a plastic pull tab safety. The AR-15 has a selector switch toggle safety. My Smith & Wesson M&P 9 has no safety, and so it can be discharged at any time when it is loaded. In most cases, red means that the safety is off and the firearm can discharge, but you should understand your firearm's specific design. Consult your owner's manual. With a working safety engaged, the handler can pull the trigger, but a cartridge should not fire. While it's rare, be aware that safeties are not foolproof and occasionally will fail. The best safety is the gray matter between your ears. The best practice is to use but not trust the safety switch. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction into the parts of a firearm and how they generally operate. There will be more specific introduction to different types of firearms in future videos. Remember, no video will ever replace good firearms instruction by an experienced instructor. No video will replace your firearms owner's manual. Welcome to the wonderful, amazing, and yes, fun world of firearms ownership. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe so you'll catch future videos. You can also comment on this video and I'll try to answer what questions I can in a future video. If you think I've made a mistake or have missed something, I'll try to address those comments as well. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you at the range. While firearms vary greatly in configuration, almost every firearm these components are the bolt, the chamber, the barrel, the trigger assembly, and some type of an ammunition cartridge, or what may be... I think I need to grab a gun now. I need a handgun too. Is the part... Try that again. Gun stock or buzz stock assembly? The firing pin is released when the operator pulls the trigger. No. Try that again. After the firing pin strikes... After the firing pin strikes the primer and sends... After the firing pin strikes the primer... After the firing pin